How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm actually going to be taking a look at a Bandai Master Grade Gundam, the RX-0 Unicorn Gundam, full Psycho Frame prototype mobile suit. And this is my first and so far only Master Grade Gundam. Looking at the front of the box, we got this really nice artwork of the destroy mode as well as the unicorn mode, and a whole bunch of other mobile suits here in the back. You got a few let's see, those Zaku's. We've got a few I think we got some Jestas and Jaggins. On this side we have some nice artwork of just some of the features of the suit, how to actually transform the head from the unicorn mode to the destroy mode, and a few articulation points, some new parts that it has versus some other Master Grade Unicorn Gundam kits. And with this, you do receive a sheet of dry rub decals, you receive a sheet of sticker decals, and you receive a small sheet of foil stickers for just a small selection. On the other side of the box, we do have some displays of the destroy mode, showing the beam sabers that actually store on the shoulders, the beam tonfas as well. And then, of course, the unicorn mode where you have the beam magnum, hyper bazooka, and just really cool pictures here. And of course, using a display stand, the Action Base 1, which I actually have a version of. So that's about it for the box. On the other sides, we have just some artwork of the Unicorn Gundam and the same artwork on the other side. Pulling that out, we do get the instruction manual, and I'll go ahead and move my camera over here and lower this so we can get a good look. You got that same artwork from the front of the box, 1/100 scale Master Grade RX-0 Unicorn Gundam, and yeah, full Psycho Frame prototype mobile suit. You open it up, you can see, you know, the story. It's all in Japanese, so I don't read Japanese, but you can see some of the other suits that were featured in the show, the Jagan, the Lotto, Rizal, and of course some of the Neo Zeon suits, some of the characters from the show as well, and just like a bit of a rundown of some of the Gundams. You get your parts list, and it takes up 2 pages for the parts list. And just a lot of runners, a few parts that are unused, not a whole lot though. I know there's like some leg parts that are unused on this version. These are some head parts that are unused on this version, so there's not a whole lot of unused parts. I think, what's that, there's a magazine piece that's not used. And then just getting into building it, building torso. This runs down what steps build each part of the build, how to cut out your parts, how to use dry rub decals, and just a little rundown of how some parts work. And then you have your instructions on, and it shows how to build into the unicorn mode. And here we have some features of it, a paint list, and then a paint list for the Benager Lynx figure, just showing some panel line detailing if you just wanted to do panel line detailing on it. And then some of the high grade kits for the unicorn line. So that's pretty cool. And then continuing with the instructions, and then after the weapons, we get instructions on actually how to transform the Gundam kit into destroy mode. So, just transforming all the parts, and then of course, here you can see a rundown of how you would apply all of the decals, and I checked them off to just kind of keep track of where I was at. So, and then on the back you get images of unicorn mode and the destroy mode. Alright, now going into the accessories that come with this kit, you do get a fair amount of accessories. You get his hyper bazooka, and that can extend, and you can attach this magazine. It looks a little bit rough, but attach that just like so. I did have to glue some parts on. I don't think I glued anything on the hyper bazooka. But I did end up gluing some parts when it comes to the this beam rifle. So I'm going to open up this page so I can just remember the names of all the accessories here. The beam magnum. Sorry. Alright, yeah, the beam magnum, I did end up gluing a few parts on, just so I could actually extend this without it just coming apart completely. So that consists of me gluing this piece here, which it slides back and forth on, back here into this assembly, as well as applying a little bit of glue on the inside to just tighten up this joint because it was extremely loose. He comes with 3 of these magazines for the beam magnum, and these can actually store onto 2 of them can actually store on his skirt pieces. 2 beam saber blades, and then of course his shield, the Unicorn Gundam shield, which also transforms, as well as the kit itself. You do get 2 small figures of Banagher Lynx, and you get 4 beam saber hilts. Here's one of the small figures of Banagher you get. I've actually glued it onto this base, which I've customized specifically for my Unicorn Gundam. This is the Action Base 1 in white. So, and I painted some acrylic red and acrylic elephant gray paint on there. So you do get this stand adapter piece with the Unicorn Gundam. And then last but not least, we get the Gundam itself, and here he is. Here it is in its unicorn mode. And it's fairly well detailed, very well detailed. I have sanded a few parts and actually scribed in this panel line here a little bit just to make them stand out a bit more. Then I've cut like some little bits out here just to add a little bit of extra detail to this, but that came off. There are some parts that do not like to stay on very well. This being one of them. I might end up gluing this piece on in the future. But anyway, very nice head sculpt. Let's see. I can actually pop the head off to show more detail. Very nicely sculpted head. Come all the way around. There's a few camera There's a camera one up in here too as well. I don't understand how the camera would actually work on the front of this Gundam helmet in the unicorn mode, just due to it being completely blocked by the V fin. That said, you can see, the psycho frame detailing. You can see that face under there. It takes a little bit of light in there to actually see the eyes like you would be able to in the anime, but it's pretty cool. For transformation, these panels do come off the side, so you do have a little bit of parts forming for the transformation to the destroy mode. Anyway, that can pop right back on. And looking at the Unicorn Gundam in closer up detail, you can see it's a very nice white all the way up. And the white panels actually do hide the psycho frame really well in most spots. Even coming around the back, you can't really see much of the psycho frame. You can see a little bit peeking out of the arms here, and then like under here you can see just these little pieces here that hide underneath these panels. But otherwise, it's really well hidden underneath all the panels. I'm not going to take all the panels off so you can see what it looks like, just the psycho frame and the inner frame, but it is possible to just have it built where it's just the inner frame and psycho frame. So articulation wise, you do get a hinge at the base of the head. There's a ball joint at the base of the neck, so you can get a full rotation there. You can look up a decent way, look down a decent way as well. The shoulders are universal joints, so they're fully, articulated around and out. You do get a bicep rotation here. You do get a butterfly joint forward. That joint was really loose at first, and then of course it doesn't extend naturally. I had to actually do a little bit of clipping on the piece to get it to extend out further. Kind of unfortunate that you have to modify parts like that just to get a decent range of articulation, but I ended up having to do the super glue and baking soda method to actually get the joint tight enough to hold a pose, because it would just like move that far from here to like there. So having to clip a piece off of the part inside, I'll actually pull this off. It's this piece here you have to clip at the base of the peg. There's actually a little tab that stops it from moving any further than like there. So it'd be there and it'd be there, and it was like extremely loose as well, so I ended up having to just kind of brush a little bit of super glue and then dip it into some baking soda that causes the super glue to bind and actually cure immediately. So it actually is a good method of creating a tighter joint without risking the super glue bonding your parts together. So what you do is just brush a little bit of super glue on and then dip it in some baking soda, and it just immediately cures the super glue and kind of makes it a rough edge too, so if you wanted to sand it down a little bit. So yeah, you get that motion there. And just pop this back on. You get a double jointed elbow, but it's a little bit limited just due to how the transformation and the psycho frame works underneath. You do get a swivel here, There's also a piece up inside here. I'll show in destroy mode the articulation for it, as well as all of the ball joints here on the hip skirts. I had to do that same super glue method on. So there's a swivel there. You don't really get an ab crunch in the unicorn mode. It's more just like an armored form. The hip skirts on the front come up to here. The side hip skirts come up to here. They kind of have to work around each other. Just pull these ones forward a little bit, I guess. And the back ones also come up to about there. So you can get forward about that far, back about that far, which is plenty. And then side to side, you can get a full split. You get a nice thigh rotation here. It can go all the way around if you needed it to. The knee joint is another joint that's kind of limited just due to the way the psycho frame and the outer frame work. The armor, I should say. So you get the base joint at the bottom of the double joint is here, and you get that far. And then at the top, it goes to 90 degrees. It's enough, but it is kind of limited. And then at the ankles, you get some side to side. Not a whole lot. It is limited just due to the armor panels. And a little bit forward and back. And it's a little bit loose as well, it seems. So, and then you don't really get anything. You don't really get anything in the foot because it's it transforms. Though you can fake it with this transformation joint here. So you can fake it, but you don't really get anything really. And then the wrists. So the wrists can actually move in and out a little bit. It's slightly looser than I'd like. And then it rotates as well. And there's also a clip. Like there's this clip, and you can't really get anything useful out of it. I guess you can, just a little bit, but the thumb kind of gets in the way, and it's a bit of a pain to work with. Thumb's on a ball joint, trigger fingers on a ball joint, and then the other three fingers are connected. There's three ball joints here at the bottom, and the trigger finger's a little bit loose. The thumb, it seems properly toleranced. Same with the other side, except I think the trigger finger's slightly tighter on this side, actually, so it's kind of weird. Once again, you get the same joint, the same wrist rotation movement. And then the backpack detail, very nice. You do get a little bit of movement on these. They rotate more than anything, but you can get a little bit of up and down movement if you pull them out just slightly. And then you can just easily pop this off to change out for like a high mobility backpack or whatever you need to use. So this shield can also, the shield can attach to his arm. You can attach it via this tab here to either the slot on the front or on the back. It does tell you to attach it to the back. So just pegging that back here. It is a bit tricky because there's multiple joints, but pegging that back there and then just kind of wrapping it around the arm like so. Detaching it though, if you aren't careful, it will pull that panel right off. However, it does just pop right back on, so it's not too big of a deal. The That said, the weight of the shield in some poses can actually cause the panel just to fall off while he's, displayed. That's kind of a bummer, but there are ways you can get around that if you needed to. So opening up his hands to allow him to hold this beam magnum, you can also pull this out. There's a few bits of articulation on here also, but just go ahead and pop the magazine in. Oh, pop the magazine in, close it up. You kind of do want to hold it in place just because the vibration from moving it. This can also move forward and back if you need it to. I guess you can use it to like simulate loading and unloading. And then it folds up right here, or you can hold that in his other hand. And then there's also a tab here which can also connect to that same slot back here. I'll show that real quick, but you just attach it like so. I don't think the Hyper Bazooka has... Yeah, the Hyper Bazooka doesn't have an attachment to attach it to the back of the arm, but... Okay, so fold this back in. There's a small little slot here on the handle, on the grip, and there's a small little shallow tab inside of his hand. He doesn't hold it well, I will say that. So you can tab that on and just kind of wrap his hand around it. Put his trigger finger up here on the trigger, and he can hold that. He holds it forward pretty well. He can handle the weight of it decently. Same thing with the Hyper Bazooka. Basically, you just attach it the same way, and it doesn't attach in very well. I don't use the Hyper Bazooka in display much. It is also a bit heavier, and just due to the nature of his elbow, or his elbow joint, he doesn't display it very well, honestly. It does not attach very well to his tab in his hand. I wish they would have found a better way, even if they had multiple hands to use with these. But like you're seeing, I'm struggling here, and it doesn't seem like it's worth the struggle to use the Hyper Bazooka unless you absolutely wanted to use it to display. And then this can slide forward and it just falls out of his hand. He holds the beam magnum much better in my experience with this, but like holding this, and there doesn't seem to be enough room between the hands for him to properly support it, but it's what it is. This usually just stays in a bag, honestly, for me, so go ahead and set that off this side. So that's pretty much it for his weapons in this mode. So in the next segment, we'll go ahead and transform him. So incorporating the accessories onto this Gundam, we're going to start here with, let's start with a magazine. So the magazines can actually store back here on his back skirts, and I can actually pull this off just to show it better. So you got tabs on either side of the magazine. You get this slot here on the back skirts, and you can attach one to each side just like so. You can also use those for the bazooka magazine, so if you wanted to do that as well. But yeah, so that's how that works. I'm just going to pull them off though right now because I don't really prefer storing them back there. They kind of get in the way of articulation. Putting this back on, you can take either the beam or the beam magnum. There's a clip here, a little peg here that will fold out, and it's a bit difficult on the beam magnum to get out, but this will actually store here if you wanted to. So that's how you can store the beam magnum there. You can also do the same with the hyper bazooka. It has a similar tab, goes in the same spot. Just collapse all that. And then the shield will do the same thing. You just want to fold this bracket up like so, and this tab will actually plug in there, though not as securely. I'll save these for the destroy mode. So essentially, in the anime, when the NTD system that is in the Unicorn Gundam encounters a new type, or even a cyber new type, the psycho frame extends, causing all the armor panels to come apart, transforming it into its Gundam state as well. It's destroy mode. So to start, the instructions actually tell you to take parts of it apart. You don't necessarily have to take too much of it apart, but I will do what the instructions say. So we'll go ahead and take off his arms, take off his head, take off the backpack, take off the torso. No, you don't take off the torso. It wants you to take off the legs, but it's not necessary. So we'll just take off the arms, the head, and the backpack. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and start with the legs. So starting with the legs, you're going to begin by coming down to the feet, pull out this heel, pull forward this toe, and this whole, let's see, it comes down like so on this, in this joint here, and that will allow you to move these pieces here down. So you'll move. This is about the most fiddly part of this transformation, is the feet. So move these down, move these up, move this up, bring this up. You want to go ahead and open up these pieces here and pull down this closed. Pull this down to reveal the psycho frame details here. And then you just want to kind of bring this up so it lines up in there. That's pretty much the feet. And moving up the leg, you're going to open this, and it wants you to take it off once again, but you don't have to. Bring this forward and just kind of slide it there. Bring this piece forward here. Just kind of have this pulled out, and you want to bring this out and slide it down, and that will extend this piece of the psycho frame as well. This will then, holding both in place, you can clip that there and just kind of bring this little piece out of here. And then coming up here, you want to just pull this panel from the side of the thigh and pull the leg down and then push it back in. And the second one, done. All right, now to the hip skirts. Come to these panels here, and you're just going to slide this panel out and up and back in. These ones will just extend. So just pull on the edge here. Come around to the back. You want to open this up, and that will allow, let's see, it'll allow both the hips to extend and then lock into place. And then you can open these to reveal some more thrusters. Here, and then lift this up. Coming back to the back, you want to pull this panel out, and that will allow you to extend the waist, and you can bring it back down. Don't want to bring it down all the way because it will limit your mobility. And then you want to come to the sides here, and actually you want to get your finger kind of in between these panels and just pull out this armor. And then it says to use one of these beam sabers to actually get this out, like so. And then these panels will just kind of flip out and down. And I actually knocked this loose. Here we go. Come to the other side, do the same thing. Just pull it out as far as it'll go. And sometimes I can get my fingernail in here and get this out. There we go. And then just let this come down on each side, like so. The arms, you're going to pull this up, pull this out, pull here on this piece to bring that down, and then pull here to bring out this side piece. And I'm going to attach the arm once again. Same on the other side, you want to just pull this up, pull this out. Keep that in there. Pull this down, pull this out, and then we'll just reattach that arm. For the backpack, you want to come here and swing out these beam sabers on each side, flip them around here, that's on a ball joint, and then bring them up at these swivels. You want to come to this middle section, and this is the trickiest part for me. Just kind of grab it in a way that it'll actually come up and reveal that little detail. And then you can pull out these to reveal some more thrusters. Once again, you want to just attach that back to his back. And now the head. So you're going to remove these side panels here. You're going to lift up here, flip this mask in, pull on the horn gently in order to bring the face forward, and then bring that down. You can then take these pieces once again, and they will flip around and plug on the opposite way. So they were like this before. With this detail forward, you're just going to flip them over and plug that on, and that will lock that face psycho frame into place. And then you just want to split the V fin apart. Now you get three separate parts for the V fin. You get one that's just the single horn, one that's just the open V fin, and then you get this as the transforming V fin, which I prefer the most. just because I like to kind of switch this back and forth sometimes. And then, so that's the head finished. You can just pop that back on. And there we have the Unicorn Gundam fully transformed to its destroy mode. And this thing is stunning. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Gundam. Now, right out of the box, it's not perfect. There are some joints that are floppy. These are actually a little bit floppy too. I kind of have to pull them out to the side a bit to lock them into place, but they just end up moving themselves once again. And yeah, just really cool. Now in this mode, this is where you're going to actually be using the beam saber parts, because he can actually grab these beam sabers now, and you can attach that in there like so. And these actually seem to hold into his hands. I don't know if it's a weight thing, but they seem to hold on a lot better than either of the either the Hyper Bazooka or the Beam Magnum. Just attaching these beam sabers to the hilts and tabbing those onto the inside of his hands. He holds these really well, and they display very nicely. There are some parts that will flip back in on you if you're not careful where you put your hands, but yeah, just in a simple, even a simple pose like this, and he just looks absolutely stunning. And then you can also still incorporate, the other accessories. This transforming the shield real quick. Bring this down, and you want to open this up like so. And that looks pretty cool too. And you can just attach this once again to the back of his arm or the front. I'll show you how it looks that way too as well. It just popped off. There we go. It's a bit finicky to get on the shield, but just a stunning display piece. Another thing you can do with this Gundam is the chest does open in both modes. It's probably preferable you do it in unicorn mode, but this chest does open up and reveal the hatch to enter. And you can see Benager's little feet in there. It'd be a lot cooler if it sat a little bit lower, but it is accurate to the anime this way, so. Close that back up. So the articulation for the most part is almost exactly the same in this mode. There are a few areas where it's both limited and a few areas where you get a little more articulation. Actually, here's one of them. You get a little teapot joint back and forth here. That's a little bit loose. And then this back and forth here was much, much looser before I did the super glue and baking soda trick on it. So it would literally just flop back like so. This one's a little bit loose, but not too terrible. It will still hold its pose. The other one, it just did not hold in any position at all until after I did that super glue trick. Coming around the back, just see how good this thing looks. Once again, like, all the articulation stays pretty much the same. These elbows are a little bit more limited now, just due to the shaping of this piece. There is a way to get around it, but it involves like pulling this panel out like so before, you know, moving the arm. And if you do that, you actually get a lot more range by moving that panel out. And if you're just doing like this pose here where you don't see that panel being pulled out, it doesn't look too bad. But like, say you're just trying to do that panel sticking out like that does not look great. Another thing that this Gundam has is the beam tonfas he uses as well. And that just flips out like that. And it's another beam saber on each side. And you just attach the beam saber blades to that. And it does fall off fairly easily. I might just glue those in as well, just so that they don't fall off the arms like that. But yeah, so that's also a display option if you wanted to use that. Just the beam tonfas. It does get a bit more like getting this one out. You can do it and then also have the shield on still, but it blocks a lot of that detailing. But you can do it and then just like stick this beam saber blade. They fit in really tightly. And there goes that. I bet it took the whole panel with it. It did. So yeah. Once again, these do not like to stay out either. So once again, there he is with both beam tonfas. So that's pretty cool too. And then reattaching this. Let's see if I can fold it back up without the shield falling off with that whole panel. Awesome. I'll go ahead and pull this out too. And plug this in here. Once again over here. And fold that back in. And we can go ahead and give him his Magnum. Okay. Now, in incorporation with a display base, like I showed this piece here earlier, will just clip on underneath his crotch and in between his legs. So there's a small rail. And yeah, so that will pretty much do it for this review. I'm not planning on painting this model. I think he looks good even without any paint. But yeah, so I think that'll do it for this review of the Master Grade Unicorn Gundam. This is just like the base Unicorn Gundam build. Pretty much I've showcased all the accessories that come with this exact model. This thing ranges about $55 on newtype.com is where I bought this. So you can go to Newtype, and I believe it's still in stock. So newtype.com, that's also where I bought this base, as well as they carry a lot of different Gundam and Mobile Suits model kits. So this is a pretty cool build. I do recommend, but with some modifications. You do need to make a few modifications in order to have a more enjoyable experience with it, I think. But other than that, it's a pretty cool kit, and that's about all I have to say. I do enjoy the transforming feature of it because, as you know, I'm primarily a Transformer reviewer slash collector. So the transforming element of this Gundam really makes me happy. I like how it has two different modes, and it just displays so well. I do wish there was a light kit that you can use for this, just to upgrade it at a decent price that didn't cost too much, and then also not have too much modification required. But as it is, I think it looks really good. Putting it in front of like a light source makes the red psycho frame bits glow pretty well. So this has been my review of the Master Grade Unicorn Gundam. I'd like to thank you for watching, and until next time, till all are one.